Hey everyone, thanks for coming back to the BNS channel. It's Personal Friday today, but I want to talk about something that is super personal. So I had mentioned on one of the videos that I was going to talk about this, and I think that it's important to acknowledge that when you have a sickness, an illness, when you're not feeling well, when you're not feeling up to par, when you're just not, when you're feeling off, like there's a mental status that you take that comes with it. And I know that this video is going to be hard for me to articulate because I am very private when it comes to my feelings. But I also think it's important to share them because there are other people out there, and you might be watching, that kind of go through the same thing. And so not only are you dealing with a physical ailment, but unfortunately a mental ailment attaches itself along for the ride. And what happens is we become, I know for me, I'm gonna only speak on my experience and what I have felt. I get really frustrated. I get very, very, very frustrated because I'm the type of person that likes to go, do. I want to be able to help. I want to be able to do things myself. And when I can't because of my physical limitations, I get really, really frustrated, and sometimes I can borderline angry, and I try very hard not to, but it could come across as snappy, it can come across as snotty, it can come across as just being downright nasty to people, and I don't mean to do that, ever. And so what ends up happening for me is I will just stay away from people. I won't go out. I won't go do things. I won't, I tend to try to stay away. So here's a forcing thing that I did. So this year we had our Scentsy family reunion. It was our convention. And I was literally in the throes of a flare-up. And I almost didn't go. Like, there was all of me saying that I'm going to cancel, I'm not going, I'm in too much pain, I can't be around people. And so understand that sometimes it's not the pain that's holding me back, it's the fact that I know how I'm feeling, and it's hard for me to like keep that in and not be frustrated publicly. And so a big part of me was like, no, I'm not going. And I forced myself to go, in the sense that, because I really wanted to go, don't get me wrong, but in the sense that I knew I was not going to be on like I normally am. Like, I felt like I wasn't going to be personable, I wasn't going to be outgoing. I was just struggling with that aspect of being social, and I knew that I would have to force myself to do that, and I did. And I'm glad that I did, because what ended up happening is it kind of got my mind off of it. It kind of allowed me to focus on other things than the pain. And although I was in pain, I did what I needed to do to make sure that I wasn't in more excruciating pain than I already was, and that was getting a scooter, having my cane, just being mindful that I was in pain, but at the same token that I still needed to be on, because I was in the public and I was going to be meeting people, and I was wanting to genuinely enjoy the connection that I was going to have with people, and I did. So I'm glad that I pushed myself, and I don't always push myself, because it's so much easier to just say, you know what, I'm going to stay here in my turtle shell, and I am going to just relax and not be social. The other thing that kind of creeps up every now and then is that what I call forward sight, where I'm kind of looking ahead and realizing that things are going to be or potentially going to be different. Like how I'm going to move around my house, how I am going to be in bed probably for a lot of it, or how I just won't be able to, you know, like I literally have moments where I'm like, oh my gosh, like I bend over to pick stuff off the ground all the time, like all day long. And so knowing that that's something that I'm not going to be able to do, I go into this little, oh, woe is me, kind of a depression, kind of, I don't know, I allow my mind to go places probably that it shouldn't. And so I feel sad, I feel almost mournful to the person that I was. And that's hard. Like that is a place that is not fun. It's kind of dark, it's kind of lonely, it's kind of it's super emotional because most of the time I'm crying. And so I have to, it's such a mind game. Like it's such a, I literally have to pull myself out of it and be like, okay, Edie, you're not there. It might be something that looks like that in the future, but you're not there, and you're gonna get through this, and it's gonna be okay, and it's gonna be fine. And I have to go through like this rant of encouragement in order to get myself out of the sadness, out of the, you know, it's a depression. It's a type of depression. And then I have moments of pure anxiety. And the anxiety can pop out of nowhere. It happens a lot before I go to bed. I haven't been sleeping very well because my mind is just racing. I am seriously having thoughts all the time of what could go wrong. Like if I'm having this surgery, what could go wrong? How that could affect me? Where that would leave me? What that would do to my family? Like severe anxiety. Like there are moments that I feel like maybe I'm having a panic attack. I don't know that I'm in a full-blown panic attack, but it's just like my heart is racing. My mind won't stop. I can't get it to stop. And so it's just a gamut of emotions that you have when you are physically sick, unable, disabled, whatever you want to call it. When you are having something that changes in your body, you're trying to adjust to it and your mind just goes nuts. And so I have laughed about it, I have cried about it, I have been very angry about it, and I've been very quiet about it. And so all of these emotions have been reeling. And I think the most important thing that I've learned in my life is that it's important to not hold it in. Like don't feel them. Don't not feel them. Like don't hold them in to the point where you're just numb to all of it and you can't feel those feelings, because what happens is it just builds up and builds up and builds up, and eventually something will manifest itself from that pressure, and you don't want that. And so I feel all of the emotions. My husband has been wonderful. You know, I just feel like there has been a lot that has been laid on my plate recently, and most of it is health-wise. You know, sometimes it's family, sometimes it's just life in general. And so the biggest lesson that I can share is that when you have a feeling, feel it. Make sure that you have an outlet, like especially if it's anger, make sure you have an outlet. Make sure you have a way to allow that pressure to be released, and make sure it's a healthy way to do that, right? And so I tend to just walk. I go in my hot tub. I'll go for a ride on my side-by-side in the woods by myself. I'll play and sit with my dogs. So there are different things that I will try to do to alleviate the pressure that's coming from those emotions. I put a lot, and I know that this is, you know, some of you are like, oh, here it comes. No, but I put a lot of really good relaxing fragrances in my warmers and in my fan diffusers and in my diffusers, so that it helps to regulate my emotions. Scent and emotions are tied together, right? Your olfactory nerve, your senses go right into your brain, and so the emotion is tied to scent, and scent is tied to emotion. And so by having some nice calming scents in my home, it helps to regulate my emotions. So anyway, this was a very long video. If you stayed here till the end and you're dealing with some emotions and you either want to share, talk about it, or just say, you know what, hey, ditto, I'm there with you, then please do that. I love you all, and I hope you have an amazing day, and I hope that this video could have helped at least one person. Bye now.